Dobar dan i
Good afternoon and welcome in this debate that was organized by the Media Center in Chaglavica. And the topic will be the challenges with the law about of foreigners. This law has started with fully implementation on the 15th March on this month, but the implementations had another framework through European Union and government of Kosovo that they have a certain mitigation because they're going to issue a license which will last 12 months for the professors and medical workers and 3 months for registration of the citizens for their citizenships and for their documents with possibility of using Serbian ID cards in this period. But so far the implementation showed a number of challenges in practice, and we are going to talk about it in today's debate. And our panelist will be Dr. Senka Kostic, working on the philosophical faculty in Pristina, with temporary seat in North Mitrovica, or Kosovska Mitrovica, how it's officially written over there. Tijana Grujic, Vice Director of the Društvena Akcija Center, and Jovana Filipovic, lawyer. One more time, thank you for participation, and just to add that we have called on this debate representatives of the municipality of Gračanica, so that we can hear about the experience about implementation of this law and what I have received from the central government. And today we have received a response because of their prior obligations. Their chief of office could not participate today. So, because I'm working 25 years in this media center, and for the 18 years we had more than 1,000 debates, more than 1,000 different shows and interviews, and so on. And for the 25 years, we had hundreds of politicians, and they all have the same excuse why they don't want to participate. And this is the one that they, because of the prior obligations. So the more smarter, the more experienced guy, they said, if you talk about the time that the interview gonna be held, they're gonna just say, no, I'm busy. So if you can say, what about the 3 hours? Or they said, no, I'm not here. So I think it is time to find a more creative excuse, because these phrases became, I don't want to tell about this one, but that's not the topic today. Of course, we will organize something for it together with journalists to hear about their experience. But as I said, today we're going to talk about challenges about the implementation of this law about foreigners. And we're going to start with Tijana. Tijana, your organization, Centar za afirmativne društvene akcije, has published first monitoring about the implementation of this law about the foreigners in Kosovo. And through your work on the field and gathering data from municipalities, you have started to work with the challenges about the implementation about this law, with the focus on the technical and the legal problems that the citizens are facing in practice. So what are the key findings of this, yours monitoring? So what is the most important technical and what is the most important legal problems that you have noticed in practice during the implementation of this law? And what about your findings? How can you estimate this framework of this law in practice? So good afternoon everybody. Thank you for the invitation. So the problems, we have a number of problems, and the implementation of the law was late for 7 to 10 days at the beginning. So this deadline that you give for the 3 months was at the beginning moved. So we have noticed number of problems, legal problems, technical problems when we're talking about the process itself. The most concerning part is that one practice is different from municipality to municipality. So yesterday, with the monitoring, we have, because of this law, implementation of this law has started on 15 of March, and we are monitoring the second category of the citizens that are facing and that are going to the institutions, and they are facing one administrative system. And we are working based on their statements, based on their experience that those citizens are showing too. So yesterday we had first public meeting with the citizens in North Mitrovica with this topic, and the citizens from North Mitrovica participated, and full 2 hours we talked about what they are facing on a daily basis. It is said to us that we had something about the same case. A person has tried to solve on the 2 or 3 different places in municipality, and always he has received a different answer, because the different procedure was asked from him, a different set of documents. And so we have a case now in the same municipality. The persons are receiving different answers from different offices. So this is a huge problem. So it is unclear exactly what procedure is needed, when, and which documents are acceptable. So this is a big failure, because on the site of the Ministry of the Interior, it is clear what documents are needed for which procedure, and we can see that it's different on the local level. So we do believe that situation, with the information that we are getting from south of Iber River, that the situation over there is even worse. So we are maybe going to deal with that sometimes in the future. So the other problem is when they are putting the application for it, it is not written when they have applied and why. So if this request has been denied, it will be verbally. It is not a problem, it is not stated, and now we are coming in a situation that without even watching the documentation, somebody will say on the spot that someone has no possibility to use their own right. What we are insisting on, and what we have talked about yesterday, you have to write a written request, because this is like a beginning step for the legal protection. So for all the people who has been refused verbally, without legal grounds, so these 2 moments that you have received no written request. On your written request, it is not shown when you have applied for it, so you have no legal protection after that. There is also legal remedies that you can use, but so what is the positive thing? We have registered changes on the field, that when you are applying for the permit, that request will be stamped or issued. So this is one good thing. So administrative burden for the citizens itself is sometimes it's not needed, and the procedure is getting longer, because we have noticed in the 4 municipalities in the north, they don't need it stamped requests. So this is something what you're getting from court, and sometimes marital status, which is sometimes you can check that on the site itself, but the practice is that you're going to ask for it. So that stamp, it's between 3,000 and 4,000 dinars. So when they need 3 or 4 different types of this with that stamp. So one request will cost like about 100 euros. So they're going to ask different documents from the notary office, and we have visited the municipality offices, but the regional center for the foreigners in Mitrovica, we have seen that for the notary office, it is needed only for diploma, not for the work permit or something different. This is the documents that are requested from the municipality people and which is not necessary for the procedure itself. Also, the problem, maybe one of the biggest one, is the deadline that they're going to reach the decision about the request. So it is not clear, is it the request for the temporary permit, the legal deadline for the response is 30 days, but because of the so many number of the requests, we see that the municipality services and the section for the foreigners are not in the possibility to answer so that number of requests. So if you check the electronic office and you ask for determine for that office in Pristina, when I checked it 3 days ago, the first free term was at the beginning of September. So these are the burden of the administrative workers is big and they do not understand the procedure, and you have to bear this in mind, that deadline of 3 months, is it realistic? So we do think that it's quite impossible that this request will be solved within the deadline. We do not have the information, but maybe you as media, maybe you can ask for the information. How many requests has been submitted so far? Is there any solved? We do not have information so far about that. And how many has been denied or refused? The number of citizens, I'm talking about the thousands of citizens, has unsolved civil status. So yesterday it was really hard even to listen how concerning they are. So even after those 3 months, they can be deported. So the mothers who do not have the civil status solved, they can be deported. So this Serbian ID card who has been issued for the cities in Kosovo, it is acceptable by the decision of ministers. So this temporary license will be renewed in a year. So it was told to them that after 1 year that cannot be used. In the meantime, they have to get the ID card from the cities in Serbia. This is also breaking the law because you cannot be in Serbia if you live here. So we have a number of unsolved problems which can be easily solvable if this short deadline can be extended, because the ultimate goal is that all people who are living for decades in Kosovo, they do not have the civil status solved, that they will receive that at the end of this deadline. It will be guaranteed to them that at the end they will fulfill their own rights. So I'm not going to take more of your time, but I want to state also that when we compare the practice, we have many problems about that, but at this moment I will talk about the special problem that the law about the citizenship in Kosovo, citizenship is prerequisite that you can get your Kosovo ID. There is one condition, that if you are not 18 years old and you have not used your right for the ID, you're going to lose that right. But in practice, we have a situation that the children, 14 years of old, cannot be registered in the system, but individuals who has reached 18 years old, they will send to the procedure about foreigners. So these persons will be treated as foreigners. We have many problems, but we're going to go back later on it. Thank you, Tiana. Our next panelist is docent of the philosophical faculty at University in Pristina with a temporary seat in North Mitrovica, and she's a member of informal group of the professors proactive. Dr. Senka Kostic. Ms. Kostic, how this implementation of this law about the foreigners has influence on the day-to-day work of the university in Pristina with a temporary seat in North Mitrovica, especially for the employees and the students who has no Kosovo citizenship? And how do you interpret, because you have said something about for the work and the personal documentation within the legal frame which was in between European Union and Kosovo institution, and what will be consequences for the legal continuity of the work of the university, and what is, by your opinion, the greatest risk for the students and professor if they're going to continue with this administrative practice, please. So thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity that you can hear the voice from the university. From the first mention about this law about foreigners, we have came with the questions how the institution will be influenced, which are still in Kosovo system. We thought about the university because we have a lot of students that are coming from central Serbia and from the region also. We have students that are coming from Montenegro studying in our university. For us, the question is the way how the university will function and giving the future to the people before all the Serbs who are living in Kosovo and Metohija, and the question how this university will survive. This is the principle of the silent movement of Serbs from Kosovo. So in 21st century, any idea about uncertainty, well, the university will still work, what will be the status of it, which diploma I will be received as a student, will that diploma will be valued somewhere else. So within a couple of months, you have informal information which are all negative. And this influences the future students and the decisions from our kids where they're going to continue with the study, and also with the students who are currently in our university. We're the witnesses that the children are coming to our university, and with the first mention of uncertainty, which is natural, the students will take their own papers and go to Serbia. In Kragujevac, Niš, Novi Pazar, there's a lot of choices, and I think the decisions that we are bringing that are connected with our university, before all the legal status of our university and which system that we're going to be used, it's not only administrative nature, but they have to be a topic of the secret negotiations. For us as teachers, we have received a mail from the management of university that on the big Thursday they asked the documentation for us, from all of us, that we have not that we are currently not under an investigation. The statement from the bank about our salaries, and we have a joke internally that we have internal joke that we're going to send another our papers, and we will see by their own criteria can we still work as professors in our university. What is the problem there? Is that email looks like contain no clear information. They just showed which documents we need, and with that documents you will go in the office for Kosovo and Metohija, and this is how we're going to regulate this permit. How can we continue with the work in our university? So what is here in question? So we don't know based on which decision or which negotiations they are asking this data. This data, what we have, they have to be under a law about the protection of the personal data. Who's going to get it? Who's going to store it? For what purposes they are going to be using that one sentence for the work permit? We know that this is not all the documents that we need for this, but this is something that is not really clear because that is not a work permit. We are aware that we are not going to receive a work permit on the parallel institution. This is clearly stated. So basically, we do not trust the process. We do not believe the reasons for why do we need to collect all these documents. So for me, if because I live in Chachak, I need this permit because I do not live here. So this is the call only for the people to start with the collecting the documents. So employer is pushing us in that process, and we do not have a clear deadline when can we react about this new situation. So we know that this is served to us as an administrative issue. And the part that is scared, this is that the process of integration on the university has started, and in essence, we do not know what this means. Which model will be used? Is there any possibility that in that integration will not going to happen? So how can we in this process to have saying in that? And this is a transfer to the individuals. So if we submit these documents, if we receive the residence permit or the work permit, so maybe in a couple of months somebody will say, you are now in the process of integration. I do not have a feeling that I can give because I'm not going to submit my documents until it is clear why I'm giving those documents. And simply, I think every individual has the legal rights on that. I do not know the consequences about it. We are not informed. What can we expect if we don't obey the order that we have received? If we ask the management, our managements, what they are going to do with the data, where this data will be stored, for how long, they have been silent. For a couple of our questions, for what we were sending, they have been silent. If we meet them in the hallway, they're going to give us a couple of sentences that we don't know nothing about. So they told us we don't know nothing. If we knew, we're going to tell you. And that cannot be used as an excuse. So thank you. We're going to go back. So the lawyer, Jovana, is here. She heard about everything what you have said. Maybe she can give us an answer on your dilemma. Sometimes, so giving the documents to your management, is it mandatory for you? Do you have any rights about it? Do you have to, or maybe you don't? Jovana gonna give us a legal perspective of this law about foreigners and consequences for the legal security of the citizens. This limitation for your rights, legal rights in practice. So, Jovana, how do you estimate from the legal side this law of foreigners, and what is the influence on the citizens for their own rights if the people do not have regulated their own civil status and the Kosovo documents? What are the legal consequences for the persons who are not successful in that deadline about their own status in the context of the institution itself? I think this is a really important question. So what is happening with the property of the persons who has no Kosovo documents? Is it now a rule that the persons who has reached 18 years of age age and do not have Kosovo documents, they will be treated as foreigners. So this means that someone who is 20 years old and is an heir of his own property, he will be treated as a foreigner, or what? Are these risks exist about the status? So I have asked so many questions. Oh, good afternoon. For all the questions that the Budimir has asked, I think that no one has answers, not even we lawyers. Unfortunately, the problem is that the legal security about the implementation of this law of foreigners, a law about vehicles, and in our near future do not exist. I think the people who are working in these positions, that they're supposed to work on that within the municipalities, they do not have answers. So every time the answers about these questions, about the concrete problems that the citizens are facing, they're giving the different answers. So years back we were facing with the similar problems, as Professor already mentioned, so that some situations are go to you must do. So where the old the Turkish goes, the little Muyo has to go. This is a saying. So out of that, the integration will come out, or some temporary retirement, or the similar situation, and nobody has no idea about it, and no knowledge about it, and no one has agreed explicitly about that. Everything went into the one package, and the results were bad for the citizens themselves. So many citizens had no more salaries, no more wages, nor means for existence. That was the situation with the integration in police. The people has been worked in police, they have to leave the institutions, and then have to leave the Kosovo institutions, and then we had the situation that the family, for instance, had some income, I will say 2 wages, lost both of it, just because of the bad deals let me tell you, let me say on a higher level. What we heard so far reminds me on the same period. Luckily, we have a people now who wants to work on their own future and to ask the questions, what is the purpose of all of it? Do we have to? Maybe we don't. We do not have the answer right now, and I think that the concrete answer cannot be received, not even from the individuals that they work on it. So they are waiting how the population will accept this. We are here who are just watching silently what is happening around us. And for 26, 27 years back, we do not have any type of security which are concerning our own lives, no legal security or something else. And concretely, these laws that are implemented now, the one thing is it is clear in the law. No, one thing stays in the law, and we are receiving a different answer from the service wherever I go, whether that is a municipality or the police. Personally, I had a situation at the border crossing when I was coming from the center of Serbia. The Kosovo system employee asked me, because you are a lawyer, what we gonna use? Is it what Elshani said, or what is stated in the law? This is some situations that you cannot give a clean answer. Everybody who can read knows that you have to obey what is written in the law. And now, after that, you can see a statement from some officials who are talking about the different things that is not written, and by the logic, that things means something else. So the situation is the same when you have a problem with the law about vehicles. we have a situation that many people are driving vehicles with the Serbian plate numbers. If they have an ID which are issued by some cities in the certain Serbia, and even that they have documentations from Kosovo and Kosovo ID, they be asked at the border crossing to show the Serbian IDs. So will they going to be foreigners? Will the, are they going to be foreigners because they have entered Kosovo with the Serbian ID, which is issued by some city in the central Serbia? So is he a domestic citizen because he has a Kosovo ID? So maybe someone will ask the same people why you have not reported for the residence permit because you are entering Kosovo with the ID card which is issued by the Republic of Serbia. This is the questions and uncertainty that nobody can give an answer to. When you're talking about property, the questions of property is not, it's clear about at this moment, but using your property, it is in question. So you can be an heir, you can inherit that property in the same type that you had it so far, but can you sell this property? Can you make a contract about this property in the notary office or something similar? So if you do not have Kosovo ID, you cannot go to the notary office for any type of contract, not even about that. You cannot even sell it in the catastrophe office. Catastrophe office had different rules. With the Serbian passport, you can do that in Kosovo except in Gračanica. The reason that we have received about this problem, they said it is impossible because your own personal number in Kosovo from Serbia you had 13 numbers, but your personal number in Kosovo has 11 numbers, so there is two numbers more. So you can go to Dečane or Peć city to work on your property, but not in Gračanica. So now the procedure is the same in Kosovo. You cannot do it in the whole Kosovo. I'm not sure, but when I talk with the legal experts, I have found out that the foreigners, they have no rights to possess any property in Kosovo. I'm not sure, is that correct? But what in that case? If the person who do not have Kosovo documents, he will be treated as a foreigner. So if it is by the law, he cannot possess any property, so what will happen with the property? Who is the owner after that? I did not see in the law that the foreigner cannot be the owner of the property in Kosovo, especially not in these situations. I know that yesterday one person submitted a request to the catastrophe office to register their own property for one apartment. So far that was not a problem. She has submitted at the same time the request for the ID card. So that we are talking about the law because the deadline is not clear. So we are talking about what will happen after a couple of months. So that is the main problem, because that legal uncertainty, which is in power right now, it will come together with all the problems that we are talking here today. What will happen after 3 months? So nobody gives any answer. We have seen that there is no answers. Everything is working on the ad hoc styles from the day till tomorrow. Everybody expecting that this deadline will be moved, and no one knows nothing about the procedures. So I do believe that it will stay the same. Okay, please, colleagues, do you have any questions? So I will continue with mine. Momika, please use the microphone. My name is Momir Kačanković from Jedinstvo paper. So far as I heard, everything was interesting, and Tiana, praise to you because you have said it everything in details and practically you have drawn the problem to all of us. Thank you for all these informations, but everything that what I hear, this is a breaking of the rights of the Serbs in Kosovo and Metohija. But that is the problem. Unofficially, officially, this is the problem from Pristina, Belgrade, and Mr. Sorensen from European Union. On the field, you have breaking the basic rights of the Serbs. Is that those people who have reached that, they have mingled and everything is now blur. So have they done everything to make our life more difficult in Kosovo, in Metohija? Maybe this is not the question for you. This is the question for European Union, for the Brussels, because they are pushing something by force, some rules, some traps that are in front of us that we cannot see our future, especially for young people. So now I'm interested, you, Tiana, which you are a head of your organization. Are you sending everything to the representatives of the international community, to the Brussels itself, to tell them about their own services? What is the influence on the Serbs in Kosovo and Metohija? Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Yeah, this is the crucial reason why we are working all of this. Because the rights on the legal identity in front of the law, it's the basic law. A system in Kosovo and everywhere in the world, if you do not have ID card, you cannot ask for your basic rights. You can apply for the social fair. You cannot get your employment. You cannot move, etc., etc. That is the reason that we are following this, everything about the documents for almost a year. We have issued many of the recommendations, and we said that the people cannot be victims of the political dialogue. So this intensity, everything what is agreed on the higher level, they do not think about the technical solutions on the ground. Now we have the situation when we have analyzed this, also the rights in European Union and the verdicts from the Strasbourg court, because the Kosovo is not the part of the European Union. In the Article 53, you have obligations that international law and international convention, that the first source of the law, which is clearly stated that the verdicts from the international human rights law, all the institutions, it is mandatory for Kosovo. So we went deeper into problems just to solve this problem. And when we see how this problem is solved in the European Union, now we have seen the practice that if something is last for years, decades, as it is right now, you were using the Serbian ID just to work here, and that was publicly that you can work in the medical office in university. That was used only for some administrative procedure in Kosovo, and now you cannot stop everything all at once. So let's say today we have one rule, and from tomorrow another. By all the laws and the standards of the European rights, the government has to have some period that you can transfer everything to. So for all the expectations of the citizens, if the governments have used one regime on one territory, so this person has accepted that he has a certain rights. If the government wants to change, they have to make sure about the one certain period that the persons were not going to lose their own rights. That's why the Kosovo government is obliged to use everything what comes from European Union. We have something that is called overrun formality. They cannot narrow interpret these laws, which are not good for the individual. So now we have to praise a deal in between Kosovo government and European Union because after all, they gave the possibility for some mechanism for these people, for all the people who do not have documents and residential status. So now we are watching this agreement. So we are pointing out on the flaws, and now we have some objections that are going to the Kosovo government, to the European Union, to the media. Now we are trying to inform the citizens about their rights. This is the essence, because at the beginning we had a number of disinformations. They gave us the wrong directions, the wrong expectations. So they told us that the people with the Serbian ID card can come here and take a Kosovo ID. That was the expectations. Now you can see how the citizens are feel when they are facing this massive administrative problem. So people who participated the yesterday's forum, we had heard from the people who had tried for years to fulfill their own rights. When their request has been denied at the last moment, and they're going to receive that only in Albanian language, they're going to receive this when this has breached the statute of limitations. But when you appeal, of course, it will be refused, and the reason is it will be that it has breached the limit of statute of limitation. This legal system, I have to mention that this is only for the Serbs in Kosovo, but also other minorities in Kosovo. The less number but of course we have the situation that they have unsolved the civil status, but now this is really important for the Serbian community. So when the administrative worker can say with his own words, and when he can decide on his own when to use some procedure, so this will be also implemented on some other citizens, other minorities, even Albanians. So implementing the law has to be for the benefit of the whole society, and most sincerely, in this way, we are strengthening the rule of law for all of us. And one legal issue, it is special. I'm sorry because I'm taking all of your time, but we have seen that this is the crucial problem right now. In this deadline, for 3 months, the great success was shown that you can pre-register marital status and a death certificate, that you can change that you can be registered in the Kosovo system. We are talking about the marital status in Serbia, that you can also register that one in the Serbian system. I have to mention this is the step forward only for the marriages, for the recognition of the marriages. But if you don't do that within the 30 days, so what is the problem now? We have a step forward that you are not going to be fined. You can register your own marriage. This is a good for the women, for the mothers, for the families, that they can apply it for the resident permit, for the solving their own civil status. But the problem is the moment when they are counting that the marriage has started. Now we have the situation that we have a marital status which is 15 years ago, and now the Kosovo Civil Service, they are going to enter the data that the marriage has started 15 years ago, but they are going to start if the women apply for the ID card, they're going to count from that day. So how can we talk about this? Because the analysis will be published soon, what we have done, but the answers when legally marriage has started, because it is clearly stated in the law that the marriage has started not with the date of the registration, but but because when you went into the marital office. So some realistic situations in the life, you have to accept the fact that this woman has fulfilled the preconditions a long time ago before they can apply for the ID and the civil status. Clear. This is clear. Okay. Is there any questions? I gave you my personal example. I have solved my own marriage after 18 years. It is just copied from the Serbian books. But that was in Gračanica with the deadline from the last year. I don't know why they had not been solved in the same ways in the north of Kosovo. But Tiana, what I'm interested in is you have said that you have talked with the people in the north of Kosovo that they have problems, and I think they have more problems than Serbs and other citizens which are treated as foreigners here. But I am interested, do we have to talk with the people south of Ibar River? So from Klokot, Parteš, Pasjane, do they have same problems? Because here we have foreigners, people who are working years in Kosovo who do not have the Kosovo ID card. And how you interpreted these differences from municipality to municipality, who is the responsible for it? Is it the municipality itself? Or maybe they are not educated enough, ready enough to work, to do their own job. So if they ask in North Mitrovica municipality one set of documents and the other cities the second set of documents, and for you, Senka, are you scared about consequences? Because you said you don't want to submit the documentations that are asked from you. Because maybe the students they don't want to submit the document because you are maybe scared what will happen after this deadline of 3 months will expire then, and eventually maybe the deportation will come along. So what will happen with your own job? We can. Now I'm talk only for myself. When I said that I do not have enough information for my decisions and I'm not going to submit the documents, at that moment I know that maybe I will be fired. I'm aware of what I'm working on, and I think it is really unacceptable in the 21st century. This is the breaking of the basic human rights, because they told you you have to do something without the clean information why, without any accepting. Do you know that you have to accept consequences? Because this is something that I cannot bear in this moment. You asked about the students also, and I can tell you that the students are watching their teachers with the expectations, and they are expecting the answers from us. Will they submit the documents or not? And the professors remain silent so far. So for the students, they have the same question. They do not have enough information why they are asking for this set of documents. But for the students, they ask less information and they have less pressure because some professor told them that you do not have to come into the university. Now you can work from home, and until this situation is solved, I think I don't wanna I don't want to give you the dark thoughts about this, but the questions about will this continue with the study here, I have no answer. At the beginning of the year, I had 50 people in my classroom. Lately, 20 up to 25 students are not showing up. Still there are students, but they're not coming. This is the trend that is existing now. The questions about the notification of the diploma, but they're going to valid integration, can they come or not? So if something unpleasant happens, starting with the leaving the institution, the effect on the students are big in our university. So this, of course, this is the question of the breaking the basic human rights. We wrote to the international community, we wrote to the homeless persons for the protection of the documents, we have wrote to our rector, and I have to say that the international community has the understanding for our, and they want to hear from us. This is not only a legal and technical problem because we are expecting the serious consequences, and I do believe that is up to us. So I have missed to tell you that for our colleagues, when they go to submit the documents, they have been refused because after that they ask the additional data. I think that everybody is facing the same problems, but I think it's if we are not raise our voice about this, people cannot hear anything else. And have you asked the question to the university? Please use the microphone. You have said that the international community is ready to hear us. Is someone concretely dealing with it? Because you have said there's a less student in the Kosovo University. Is there anyone who is concerned about it? You have received from the government of Serbia, they gave you no answer about the legal status of university. Have you asked Brussels about it? That is the next instance. Is there anyone who is concerned about it? Is it possible that they know about the status of the university and we do not know nothing about when you asked it, you have no information clear. I think that was published in the media. We asked from 2013 up to the moment that they gave us the answer. What is the legal status of the university in Pristina with a temporary seat in North Mitrovica? And through some documents, through some formal meetings, anything. What was the question of the negotiation that we can lean upon to? What is our destiny? The answer from the Office for Kosovo and Metohija is that the question of university was not the question in dialogue between Pristina and Belgrade. That is not mentioned. They had no documents about the legal status of the university, not from the Ministry of Education. They have sent us to the Office of Kosovo and Metohija because there has no documents about it, with the idea that maybe they really do not have nothing, because they do not think that the education is not the topic of the negotiations. And so it is impossible that they have nothing. And it is clear for us that they deliberately hiding the information from us. And it is weird that they have no documents because they are part of the government. executive government in Serbia, because on one meeting when the rector came to tell us about what is going on, I'm, I so far had a joke that he pretended that we all exist. And he asked us about are we planning in some activity on university? He said this is a really important questions for the government and we can do nothing about it. When I asked, okay, the negotiations are in Brussels, in between Belgrade and Pristina. So what if we receive something from Belgrade which is not okay from us? What we are going to do? He said we can only issue a statement, nothing else. The way that they are doing so, it is clear for us that from our university, it is clear from us that we are not going to have any efforts. So we know that they are not going to do anything about it. Experience of being here showing this, because they are under some political structures. It is clear that they are going to nothing about it, and the political options are not working for our interests. I want to remind you about the declarations, what they have issued, to tell about the problems in essence, and to start with this talk about it. Unfortunately, it is not concerning for them. Now I'm reading the statement from the Zlatan Elek, the president of Zlatan Elek, who has congratulated for the Day of Students for the students in Pristina, and he said that the future for the students is because they're carrying the part of the responsibility, that they're going to shape the future. Use these days to broaden your educations. Maybe we're going to ask them about the status of the university. Bristol or Brussels or Pristina, looks like no one side knows nothing about it. So Tiana, please. We have opened one email address, which I mentioned, and we have called the citizens to talk about their problems, and also on the social media. Now we are receiving information south and north of Iber, and now we have information that in municipality they do want to accept requests which are in Cyrillic letters. This is not yet confirmed. We have received this from citizens. We have to confirm this until we go publicly with the data. All the persons who has reached 18 years of old, they're not sent to the process of naturalization, but their own rights for having ID cards has been denied in total. So our capacity are limited. We cannot follow everything. And now we are calling the media to follow the situation as much as it possible. And we are calling the citizens to come to us, and we are analyzing everything, and we are sending them to the people who can help with our contacts with European Union, with the international community, with all relevant factors that are dealing with this, and with some sources. Now we see how the Kosovo government will react, and we see everything black. But I'm optimist. I think we can solve this. We have felt this concerning of the citizens, because at the beginning of implementation of this law, we have appealed that some category of the citizens will be excused just because all the reasons that we have mentioned. So when we talk about only when we're talking about the civil status and the legal identity and rights on education, right on medical help, and we have showed and said if we lose the experts and university professors and doctors, that will be their own personal loss, individual loss, but the whole community will suffer. because the professors cannot work, doctors cannot work. This is the loss of the whole community. This is the chain reaction, and I think the understanding of the problem is of the great importance because the part of the agreements that we don't know about, but we still hope that they are going in that direction to come up with the practical solutions and a reasonable deadline that you can solve everything. One problem, this is the problem in every bureaucracy system. There is no place in the world that there is no space or need for improvement. This is the same problem everywhere in the world, like under the quotation mark, you are missing my paper. So the people who are not legal workers, they do not understand the problem. So we have to have the same practice everywhere. This is the problem, continuous problem. So, because you said we have a different manuals, let me tell you like that, like in north of Mitrovica, south of Mitrovica. Is that coming from the central government, from the Ministry of Interior? Did they receive this differently, or this is just a matter of implementation? This is the question of implementation because they have something what they're coming from the central level and different on the local level. This is the two-sided process. The citizens has to know their own rights and obligations and the criteria. But if the people in municipality don't know nothing about this, so they're talking about it differently, how will the citizens know? That's why we are insisting on the clear informations for the people who are working in the municipality, for the citizens. So maybe some discriminatory practice will be used. They are going to do that deliberately, not only for the capacity problem. This is the problem that we are showing constantly. We are not the first one who are pointing on that problem. We have to have better usage of the regulations. So maybe Jovana, maybe you can say something more about this. So when we have a goodwill, everything can be solved. We have a lack of goodwill here. The situation about the driving license. Myself, I have received driving license in Kosovo because I did not go to some special schools. Let me tell you something. In Kosovo, so you have integrated your Serbian driving license into Kosovo system. Yeah, that was not a problem to do that back then because there was a goodwill and there was a way. Why now? The simple fact like registration of the marriage, death certificate, birth certificate. This is something simple that you can just copy from one system to another because the fact is that this exists. And now we have the situations that the people has been denied to possess the ID, the citizenship. Now maybe we have a lack of tensions. So with this administration, that will be complicated further and further. We are coming to the situation that there is no answer to why there is some regulations in one municipality, different in the next municipality, and this is also happening for years. So same situations in notary office. In one office you can go with the documents from Serbia, and another office no, you cannot. So what is needed? We need, as a citizen in Kosovo, what was agreed on the higher level. So we will come up with a decision, will they continue our life here or we're going to cut it off and we're going to leave. So we need certainty, what is agreed, which way is agreed. And On the other side, the people who are working in municipalities, it is true that they do not have enough information and they are not legal workers, and that the citizens that are going to that office, they cannot give a clear answer about what they're going to need. So they expected that you're going to come with the Serbian ID and then going to receive the Kosovo ID just based upon the Serbian. But now in the practice we see that it's more complicated after the new law and this allegedly something which do not exist, as Tiana talked about the marriage. And when you were comparing this with the ID card, so would you like to add something on this topic, or shall we finish it? This is it. Have a nice day.